You are Locked On Coogs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Parker Ainsworth, Locked On Coogs, joined by Martin Marroquin, because I think we're the only two deliberately and intentionally watching a bunch of non-Houston Cougar football players get ready for Houston Cougar football. And Martin, I'm disappointed because I like watching defensive linemen. I think because it's like a very simple position on paper to play, it actually becomes one of the more fun positions to watch because it's a lot of like things that are easy to say to do and things that are really hard to do. I worry that we don't have a lot of defensive guys, but I also try and tell myself that we just got a defensive coordinator. As a guy that's been in the office and kind of seen coordinators come and go, and then I guess on offense they left and they never did anything about that. What do you think about the fact that they've only got a handful of defensive guys? They've already got 11 commits. I think that's a lot. Looking around the NCAA right now, they don't have a whole lot of guys on defense, so it's a lot of offensive commitments.
Yeah, just the two defensive guys, if I'm remembering correctly, Jordan Allen and Will James.
I think that's right.
In the secondary. Yeah, I mean, it's a little concerning just because, if I remember correctly, you have a week now to, get your transfer guys locked in. It's not that they've neglected the position altogether. They've offered guys and stuff, but I do know that not having a coordinator or, position coach with the situation I had to deal with, these kids are curious, like, who am I going to be playing for? Right. What scheme am I going to be playing in? So while, Wes Fritz and the guys that work for him are certainly watching film and getting offers out to guys, they can only get to a certain point with these kids, with what they're going to tell them they're going to be doing play style wise. So, that certainly matters. But I'm sure they had a list ready to go for the new DC when he showed up of here's our guys. And I'm sure he was like, well, I got some guys too who may or may not be available. Right. I'm sure in the next couple of days we might see. I wouldn't be shocked if there was another surge for defensive linemen signing the way that we saw the surge with offensive linemen.
Well, and they did get 2 DBs, and I guess it feels like a third because Jeremiah Wilson said he's coming back after putting his feet in the transfer portal. He hopped out, and that's another win, I would argue. I wonder, I don't know what you're experiencing, how much time you were in the building with Christian Young, JC Wise coaching the DBs, or Etheridge, I guess either one. But I feel frankly like it kind of speaks to how many eyeballs they had on the defensive backfield. That their only 2 commitments pre-defensive coordinator were defensive backs. They're losing Keith Cooper. I think he's going to play a lot on Sundays and be very good at it. Really liked watching him play last year. And I don't know that you can get someone who does that, like has the intangible ability to like make a play when you need it that Keith Cooper did, but they do need to play at least someone at defensive end. Like I think there's something, they just have to have a starting caliber body there. What are you thinking? Is it someone on the roster? Is it someone in the transfer portal? You've looked around, I think, probably as much as anyone in America. So I feel comfortable asking you, what do you think's out there?
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Mack is returning. He played a lot of snaps this past year. So I mean, there's comfort in having somebody returning that what you're getting from. He's on the interior, but Carlos Allen is returning as well. Like I think that's important to have those 2 guys coming back.
And I saw Stillman's coming back. I saw that today, right? Mm-hmm. That came.
Yeah. Another big body. And for guys that were already on the roster that you didn't see much, like they had an incoming freshman. I might be messing up his name. I think it was DeMarcus Johnson from locally from Fort Bend Marshall, but he's a big kid. So there is existing size at least on the roster. Brandon Mack played, Carlos Allen played. Like there's some guys that got some snaps. But yeah, I mean, my concern would just be the experience. I think you definitely want to bring a guy in to at least compete for the starting spot, if not get somebody that's of the caliber that is certainly going to be a starter. But I guess it depends on what the scheme is going to be, because you have guys that I think can be flexible, like Latreveon McCutchen, young guy. He was used in like to rush the passer. He's more. I think he's like a linebacker, but
yeah. So this like weird, the dog hybrid position is what they're calling it, right? And Brandon Mack played that last year, but they kind of transitioned McCutchen, younger McCutchen, into that role. And then I wonder, is there a world where you'd move Mack to a more traditional defensive end and let McCutchen get more reps at that hybrid spot? Because McCutchen's going to be able to play. He's young, but like he's going to be really good.
No, he's a player, and I mean his body. From when I remember him showing up, he was a string bean to, what he was this year. I mean, he's really filled out. He's done a great job in the weight room and with the coach Hester. Obviously doing a good job with those guys. And yeah, I mean, when Trey was on the field, the limited snaps he got, it seemed like he was forcing a fumble or getting a sack or getting a deflection. And if I remember correctly, based on discussing it a little bit with him in the past, the dog is more like that hybrid where they might drop in coverage, or play the edge. And obviously he's athletic enough to do that. So it would be interesting to see him there. You also have Corey Platt returning, who unfortunately dealt with an injury, and he was out all last year. He came over with the staff from Tulane, another good player. Maybe he gets some snaps there. He's also listed as a linebacker like McCutchen. But if you get desperate enough, I guess you want to move guys around.
I was looking at Platt, honestly, later for the segment as a plug and play for Michael Batten leaving. Obviously, like Michael Batten, I guess, finishing school, he didn't want to leave, right? But
Right.
you only get so many years. I think Platt plugs and plays there very well. AJ Holmes is going to be missed, but I think they've got some with Carlos Allen, Stillman. I think they've got some interior depth kind of pieces. Holmes was very athletic for an interior guy. I don't mean to say he's easy to replace, but I think they can figure that one out more easily than the end spot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
And they've got two guys in the back half, and frankly had really good secondary play a year ago. I think this defense has a chance to be pretty good again. I'm still diving into tape on Austin Armstrong, what they did at Florida, and really trying to look at what he did at Southern Miss as well. Outside of hearing things, I know you're not a typical X's and O's guy. But do you have any thoughts on Armstrong and the defense?
No, I mean, I was going to try to watch the Florida kid that they had on the visit just to get an idea of what the defense looked like. So maybe see how they might piece things together. I do like that they brought in the two DBs because it just gives them more depth in both corner and safety. So maybe, they create more flexibility with what you can do there and who you have on the field.
And Justus Boone is the guy you're speaking of, right? That's like a Florida, in the transfer portal. And he's an edge player, I believe. He's not a Houston local kid or anything like that, but he's a Florida kid in the portal, and we just got the Florida defense coordinator. So I think a lot of people are connecting the dots that visit may be pretty important. You have any insight there?
No, I mean, I don't. I would be making the same assumptions as you guys is. According to the graphic I saw, his first visit was with Houston. And yeah, I mean, obviously he knows his defensive coordinator is coming here. So,
well, and his first visit with Houston, you hope to not let him off campus. He was a 4-star prospect out of high school. I think that there's a lot of talent there. He's kind of had an up and down, not even that many snaps at Florida. But a class of 2021 kid, am I right there? 2021?
That sounds right.
And so, older, more mature body, developed body, and maybe he's got a lot more success with, some more time on task, familiar defense coordinator, etc. Houston legitimately this evening, I think it was this evening, maybe it was this afternoon, I was going to add a commission for part of that. Got a new skill position in the tight end room, and he's pretty darn good. So I want to talk about him and another guy that's pretty darn good, and some other offensive skill guys, because that's what Houston's been known for in the past, in a second. But first, today's show is brought to you, as I said, by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, because right now, new customers can bet $5. Get $150 back in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets in the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, check out the latest stats, view live play by play, and so much more on the same page that you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com, join today, get started with $150 back in bonus bets. You fish your first $5 bet hits at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, the sportsbook partner of the NFL. Today's show is also brought to you by PrizePicks. What is PrizePicks? PrizePicks is the best place to get real money on sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made your daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 or 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long with PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. PrizePicks is the best way to get on the action on sports in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if your picks don't all hit. If you think like James Cooks have a big week, he didn't have one for my team. Well, he did have one from my bench last week. I thought the Lions team was going to be better than they were. That's a long story. You can go to PrizePicks and get in on the action right now. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game.